Y'all, I got to talk about this thing that Ice Barbie said the other day. And I don't usually refer to Kristi Noem as Ice Barbie because I think it's a little bit misogynistic, but if you watch this video clip, I think you'll understand why the insult is so applicable.
My audience is predominantly Latino. So they kind of every day say they're fearful because a lot of people have been targeted based on their skin color, not necessarily.
That is not true. And so that has been another false narrative that has been put out there in the media that I absolutely want to throw back at you and say that is absolutely false, and don't you dare ever say that again. We have judges out there and other individuals saying people have been targeted that way, and it's not true. Every single operation that we do on ICE is based on investigative work and on case work to show that there is a reason and reasonable suspicion to go into an area and to talk and look at individuals that are involved in criminal activity. So because that is a narrative that people have been out there saying doesn't make it true, and it should not be repeated.
First of all, what's with this from Kristi Noem? What do you mean it's not true? What do you mean it's a false narrative that's been put out there in the media? A federal judge ruled based on the evidence that that's what y'all are doing. A federal judge said ICE is racial profiling people, that y'all are detaining people based on their skin color, the fact that they speak Spanish, and the kind of work that they do. In fact, the plaintiffs in that case were United States citizens who showed their legal identification to ICE agents who didn't care and snatched them up anyway because they were brown and they spoke Spanish. Also, let's listen to what ICE Director Tom Homan said about this a week ago. He's being interviewed by Dana Bash on CNN.
To the appeals court.
Let's talk about that reasonable suspicion and what it actually means on the ground when it comes to ICE detaining people. You said in an interview this week that reasonable suspicion can be based on, quote, the location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. What about an individual's physical appearance would give immigration agents, quote, reasonable suspicion that they might be in the U.S. illegally?
Well, first of all, let me be clear. Physical description can't be the sole factor to give you reasonable suspicion. As I said in an interview, it's articulable facts with an S. So appearance can be just one. For instance, if someone has an MS-13 tattoo on their face, that may be one factor to add to other factors to raise reasonable suspicion.
What is an MS-13 tattoo?
I want to be clear about that again because my words are taken out of context.
Sure.
Physical description cannot be the sole reason to detain and question somebody.
That it was.
That can't be the sole reason to raise reasonable suspicion. It's a myriad of factors, and I could sit here for the next half hour and give you all the factors. So every officer, every situation is different. But I can tell you this: every ICE officer goes through Fourth Amendment training every 6 months and reminded what their authorities are for arrest, detention, and questioning. So the officers are very well trained. So
I'm going to spare y'all from the litany of insults that I have for Tom Homan. First of all, a judge ruled that they absolutely were detaining people based on their skin color and the fact that they spoke Spanish and what kind of job that they had. That's racial profiling. Not to mention the fact that when Homan says a myriad of facts, you can't add skin color and speaking Spanish and be like, okay, that is enough articulable facts. Those aren't facts. That's profiling. You have no reasonable suspicion. Someone existing while brown in the United States is not a reason for ICE to drag them out of their vehicle, pepper spray them, and haul them off to detention. I mean, that's what happened to United States Army veteran George Reitz at the Glass House raid in California. Despite the fact that he was an American citizen, a disabled United States Army veteran, ICE bashed out the window of his car, hauled him out, pepper sprayed him, and stuffed him into a detention facility, and it took his wife days to find him. All they cared about was that he was brown and he spoke Spanish, and they were at an immigration raid, rounding up people just because they were brown, spoke Spanish, and worked on a farm. Now, we know that authoritarians don't like to be constrained by the law, right? They are really pissed off when judges want to uphold your constitutional rights because they want to erode those rights. They're starting with immigrants, and then they are quickly progressing to U.S. citizens. We are seeing U.S. citizens that are caught up in these raids over and over again. George Reitz was kept in a detention facility for 3 days without access to a lawyer or his family, with no explanation. We are seeing American citizen children that are having their constitutional rights violated. I want to talk about this in the next video because that just happened to kids here in Oregon. American citizens who were stuffed into a windowless detention cell for 2 weeks. In fact, we saw U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, who's a member of the Cherokee Nation. So you would think that he's somebody who understands government persecution of Indigenous people. And overwhelmingly, we are seeing Indigenous Americans understand that the ethnic cleansing that is being committed against immigrants in this country is absolutely a continuation of the genocide that the United States government has been committing against Native Americans for hundreds of years. The only difference is there's this arbitrary border, right? There's this arbitrary U.S. border, but when they are going for brown people from Central and South America, they are going for Indigenous Americans. It's the same old shit. It's the same old white supremacist shit. And you would think that U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen would understand that and he would be fighting against ICE. No, go ahead and Google him if you want to. He has advocated for American citizen children being exiled out of the United States if their mothers are undocumented. He's not the only real shitbag senator who has had some horrific opinions about American citizens who happen to be brown.
Citizens accidentally get detained in ICE raids.
If U.S. citizens.
Yeah, it's been happening a lot. It's been happening a lot with veterans in particular. Yeah.
Well, first of all, don't put yourself in a situation where that happens, okay? And I'm sure with all the illegals we have in this country, you're going to probably have some mistakes happen. That's going to happen. But, again, as long as we take care of it the right way, understand they are a citizen, let them go. But, again, if you're going to be hanging around people that are not citizens of this country, some things like that are going to probably happen.
That's multimillionaire United States Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's telling you that you shouldn't hang out with brown people. If you're an American citizen and you hang out with immigrants, well, then your constitutional rights might get violated. That's your own fault for being around somebody who is an immigrant when ICE comes up to kidnap them. I mean, you hear the absolutely racist isolationist rhetoric. If you're a United States citizen, Tommy Tuberville wants you to not be in proximity to immigrants. Weird, because we're not seeing the white wealthy farmers who are in proximity to those immigrants getting snatched up in these raids, are we? No, we're only seeing American citizens who are brown because, what, Kristi Noem? It's fucking racial profiling. It's like the judge looked at the evidence and said, y'all are racial profiling. You cannot snatch people up. You cannot conduct these raids based on people's skin color, the language that they speak, and where they happen to be working. I know that so many people don't want to acknowledge that what they are doing to undocumented immigrants, they hope to do more and more to American citizens. But you just heard about two United States senators, Mark Wayne Mullen and Tommy Tuberville, who are advocating for fine with United States citizen children being exiled from this country in a horrific violation of their constitutional rights. As well as if you're a U.S. citizen and you associate with immigrants or you happen to be brown, well, you might get snatched up by ICE, and that's just something that you got to put up with, that violation of your constitutional rights. It is what it is. Please understand they are anxious to extend that to people who are not brown. It is absolutely the first they came for poem. They are committing an ethnic cleansing against brown people in this country. They don't care about what that person's legal status is, whether they are undocumented, whether they are legally here on a visa, whether they are legally here on asylum, whether they are legally here with a green card with permanent resident status, or whether they are a U.S. citizen. They don't give a shit. They are communicating to all of MAGA that it's just violent criminals, it's just illegals that they're rounding up. You heard Tommy Tuberville in that clip refer to human beings as illegals, when he knows full well that the people they're snatching up are here on asylum, they are here with green card status, they are U.S. citizens. He doesn't give a shit because they're not white. And I just want to remind folks one more time, if you think they're going to stop with brown people, are you aware of the fact that they're already deporting 240,000 Ukrainian refugees out of this country? It's very, very quickly going to escalate from brown people to fucking all of us if they get their way. This is a systematic dismantling of our basic constitutional rights, starting with the most vulnerable. This is classic fascist shit, y'all. Kristi Noem and her vacant stare can try and tell you otherwise, but we see what's going on.